Who's got it better than us?
Your home for the best sports coverage in Utah. You're listening to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson on 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Jake and Ben, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. Thank you for making us a part of your Wednesday. I think What You Got Wednesday is coming together. I kind of like where we're at for the sports one.
Okay.
Not sports. We may need to dig a little bit.
We could also do the opposite of what we said for the sports one.
I think we've done that.
Have we? The worst ones?
No, I don't mean the worst ones. We'll talk about it. We can talk about it during the break.
Okay. All right. We can
The
get
things
to it.
we're excluding from the sports one, we could say we're actually only drafting the things that we were excluding. But that would be hard to get to 10. Anyways. Okay.
I got what you're saying.
By the way, I did not do this. I guess it would have been yesterday, and I meant to, but we have some corrections and retractions that were really urgent for one particular listener.
Okay.
We had somebody email somebody.
Another one of the contact us emails
Okay.
got sent in, and this person was basically saying that Jason Lee is not a Scientologist anymore.
Okay.
He's left the church.
And this person he wanted Jake to understand that because Jake brings it up.
Because Jason Lee is a listener to our show, apparently, and wanted to clarify.
I don't know.
But apparently he has left Scientology.
Jason Lee, the actor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Your favorite actor, in fact.
Former professional skateboarder.
Right.
Yeah.
Not currently a Scientologist.
Or professional skateboarder.
He was formerly a Scientologist.
And professional skateboarder. Neither anymore.
Yeah, why don't you read it?
All right, this comes in from Bo Barney. Will someone please tell Jake that Jason Lee left the Church of Scientology almost a decade ago? It even embarrasses me to keep hearing him call Jason Lee our favorite Scientologist.
Oh, okay. Is this... I won't speculate.
Well, now I need to... I'll fix the sentence. It was a former Scientologist.
No, I wonder, is that somebody who's a member of the Church of Scientology emailing us who's offended that we continue to name a non-member?
Or a big Jason Lee fan.
Or a huge Jason Lee fan. Or someone who has an
both.
axe to grind against the Church of Scientology.
I didn't even bring it up as like a shot or anything. I was just noting that he was a Scientologist. It was something that I found out about him as a Jason Lee fan that I noted over the years.
Right. It is, though, again, outside of being in Utah and people being like, that person's LDS. Or they were raised LDS. Or they're married to an LDS person, which is very common here. It's the only religion where we automatically tell everyone what religion they're a member of if they belong to the Church of Scientology.
Is that true?
We've never been like, that Edward Encarnacion, Catholic. No one ever says that. Nobody cares. We don't care.
I would kind of agree with that. Like the biggest thing with Tom Cruise outside of his movie career is
correct.
Famous Scientologist.
Yeah. No one's like Bruce Willis, Baptist. Can you believe that? No one cares. Yeah, right. What would we care? I don't know. I accidentally walked in. There was a Church of Scientology building in Sugar House when I was younger, and I accidentally walked into it one time because I didn't know what it was.
Uh-huh.
And they're like, "This is not for you." I was like, "Okay, thank you."
But it was like 10 years into Jason Lee's career before I found out he was a Scientologist. I didn't necessarily. That's the point of the observation is I had no idea Jason Lee was
because it doesn't matter what religion people are.
If I found out that Tom Cruise was like a snake handler or something, I would take note of it.
Okay.
Or if Bruce Willis, to your point, was a Baptist, well, that would raise my eyes. I have
Now
no
you would be
idea.
like,
I have no
okay.
idea Bruce Willis was
My
a
goodness.
Baptist.
No
Right.
idea.
I think that's why people, when you find out somebody is LDS, it's notable.
It's notable because we have close personal ties.
Oh, I think other people note it.
I would think so as well because it is a younger religion.
The world knows Steve Young is a Latter-day Saint.
You're right. It's part of his identity. But I think that's to the point where it's become
Everyone
a thing where
knew.
we identify it as a part of someone's identity. We don't necessarily do that with
Everyone
whatever
knew
other
Jack
religion.
Kennedy was a Catholic.
Sure, and that was a bigger deal then.
Everybody knows Joe Biden is a Catholic.
Sure.
I have no idea what Trump is.
Mitt Romney, everyone knew.
Everyone knew that was a thing about him.
You're right.
Actually, and it did not work in his favor in that particular election.
Correct.
Which is absolutely unfortunate. So maybe that's your point, that if we're making judgments based on these
That's
associations,
100% my point.
that is unfortunate.
There seems to be a stigma with the Church of Scientology.
I was was
recognize
not.
that's not what you're saying. But to the point where somebody would write in an email and be like, I just want everyone to know Jason Lee's not a member of the Church of Scientology. It's like, I don't care if he is or he isn't. It doesn't mean anything about the person, right? I don't care that Tom Cruise is or isn't. Or who was the lady that was on Everybody Loves Raymond, right? Wasn't the wife? Also
No, the Leah Remini. That was the
Remini.
wife on
King of Queens?
The fat guy, yeah.
King of Queens.
John Travolta.
Okay, yeah, right. There's a list, though. Christian has a list of the 10, members of the Church of Scientology.
Well, it's more than 10.
Sure. How many are on this list?
I'm looking at a list of celebrity members,
Yeah.
and there's like 30.
30. Yeah, it's not that many.
But they have like a celebrity center, right? Don't they have like a separate celebrity
I have
church?
no idea. Maybe. I honestly don't know.
But anyway, somebody was upset that I didn't know that Jason Lee had left
We're going to get another email.
Scientology
Yeah.
10 years ago.
Let's keep it up.
I like this. Yeah, I do too. It's holding me accountable in front of the entire company, which is awesome for me.
Everyone likes that. The firing line. I also like that knowing that our bosses are like up bosses, 4 removed, C-suites, don't listen to our show every day. Their only understanding of what we talk about on our show must be insane.
Well, yeah, there's some boss's boss. If my name ever came up in a conversation, they're now going to go, you mean the bozo who didn't know Jason Lee had left Scientology?
The guy who's always yelling and is mad about everything and thinks he's smarter than everybody else in the room also has an axe to grind against Scientology. And doesn't like guys named Russ, apparently.
It's tough. It's a tough business. People make assumptions.
I thought it was a sports show. No, it's not.
Scientology have to do it.
It's not.
But yeah, I love this new thing, the comment feature. It's great. It's it's terrific. Ben, so I'm assuming you think the one part of the conference final will be set after tonight's game?
Yeah, you go back home and you go to OKC. It's a notoriously pretty tough place to play. And I don't think the Timberwolves are all that imperfect, and we've been talking about imperfect teams, but I do feel somewhat validated. As impressive as Minnesota looked their first 2 series, they dominated the Lakers, beat them in 5, dominated the Warriors, I think beat them in 5 also. That we said the one hang up is that those are really little teams in the front court. And Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert are going to feast on those teams. And they did. And Rudy Gobert does he play? Is he in the fourth quarter of any of these games? I watched the entire fourth quarter on Saturday night. I didn't see Rudy Gobert once. Maybe he played for a couple of minutes, but he's not on the court, And we obviously know Rudy well and his strengths and his weaknesses, but it's just not a series where his coach thinks you can play him. And you wanted to talk about whether or not you think Chris Finch is a bozo or not. I mean, what Chris Finch is saying is that he doesn't trust Rudy Gobert in these situations. At least he doesn't feel that Rudy has any value.
Or he doesn't know how to use them.
Or he doesn't know how to use them. Yeah, either way.
Which I think is the problem. My key, I can't remember if I said this before you left on vacay or not. My key to the series was he has to find a way to use Rudy Gobert.
Okay.
And he's completely failed. Now, there's another thing that he's failed at, which is bugging me. And this gets to the chess part, or the chess match part with Daigneault.
Okay.
Anthony Edwards had this great quote last week. I think it was after game 1, maybe, where he talked about how he needs to get more shots by moving off the ball.
Okay.
And I thought it was incredibly insightful.
We talked about it on Tuesday.
Is that okay? Yeah. So you were here. Daigneault is blitzing Anthony Edwards, which honestly I don't know why NBA coaches don't do more. Why don't you blitz the other team's best player? I mean, like, get the ball out of his hands, right? It's sometimes the most simple solutions are good. But what Edwards was saying was, I need to get more shots by moving off the ball.
Right. The ball will come back to him.
And exactly. Okay, let's play both of these quotes, because I think the problem is Finch has not figured out how to get the ball back to Anthony Edwards to the point where he can have a good shot or an ability to do what he does. So we'll do the one from last week first, and then the updated one, which happened after game 4. All right, here you go.
I definitely got to shoot more. I only took 13 shots, but I'll say probably just get off the ball a little more, play without the ball. I think that'll be the answer, because playing on the ball, they're just going to double and sit in the gaps all day. So got to go watch some film and pick it apart. We'll figure it out. I don't look at it like I struggled or he struggled. They had a good game plan, making us get off the ball. Especially for me, man, they was super in the gaps. I made the right play all night, so I don't really look at it like I struggled. I didn't get enough shots to say I struggled, so that might be how you guys look at it. But yeah, I didn't struggle at all. It's just I made the right play.
He's making the right play. It's how do you get it back to him?
Yeah.
I absolutely, one thing I like about Anthony Edwards, is he's obviously not a selfish player.
Right.
For somebody who shoots a lot, he's not a selfish player. Like basketball-wise, that makes a ton of sense. But it's the coach's job to figure out how to get the ball back to him in a position to succeed. That's like the only job of a head coach, to figure out how to maximize your players.
Yes.
So Rudy has no place in this series. Well, that's Chris Finch's fault. Anthony Edwards has only taken 13 shots, which is a problem. I don't care how well he's shooting.
Right.
He has to shoot the ball more than 13 times. You've got to figure out a way to get him the ball in a position to succeed. It's your only job. That and kind of picking when to substitute is like it, and when to call a timeout. That's it.
That's why I love basketball. It's impossible to solve basketball, because if I were to tell you, hey, Jaden McDaniels, Dante DiVincenzo, Nickeil Alexander-Walker all went for 20-plus in this game, you'd think, Timberwolves got this wrapped up because I know what Ant's going to do. And Daynalt, who's a great coach, said, we're going to make everyone else beat us. Yeah. We're not going to let Anthony Edwards beat us, and we're going to hold him to few shots, because when he has few shots, he can't get into his rhythm. And the example of him not getting into his rhythm on Monday night, I've been saying Saturday because my days are all screwed up, on Monday night he was 1 of 7 from the three-point line. He had 5 turnovers. So while he's trying to do the right things, and he is making the right play, he's exactly right. He's driving to the paint. He's kicking the ball out. They're double-teaming him, triple-teaming him. So he's just finding open players. He's just not quite in his rhythm. And then when the biggest moments of the game need to be decided by the best players, he's not a guy who was at a point or in a rhythm where he could just take the ball and dominate. And they were close. And this was a 2-point game, and he shoots 1 of 7 from 3. Minnesota absolutely almost won this game and sent it back to OKC 2-2. But Daynalt said, we just got to win in the margins. We just got to find these small little areas where we can beat them and have a slight advantage, and they found a way to do that.
Britton told me a great anecdote about Rick Majerus, and I can't remember which player he was barking at. I don't think it was Britton. It might have been a young Britton, but it was somebody who was young on the team, and they took kind of a selfish shot, and Rick Majerus blew the practice dead and started, getting after him a little bit and said, listen, do you think I want you taking that shot, or do you think I want the 6'10 All-American taking a shot?
Right.
Pass it.
Right.
was basically his right. So if you look at that game, you mentioned Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and you mentioned Dante DiVincenzo. Here's where I disagree with you. Between those two, they took 26 shots.
Right.
That's 12 too many?
Yeah.
10 too many?
No.
Do I want you taking the shot, or do I want the 6'4 All-NBA first-team guy taking the shot? So figure out how to get the All-NBA guy a shot.
You're exactly right. It's why I say basketball is impossible to solve, because, look, if you go to the other side, you flip the coin, you go to Shea and you just look at his ugly stats. Well, he was also only 2 of 7 from 3. I said Ant was 1 of 7. That's not a huge difference. And Shea Gilgeous-Alexander was 13 of 30 from the floor. 30 shots is a ton. And he had 5 turnovers. So he had a super high usage rate. He had 10 assists, credit him. But he had a super high usage rate. That means the entire team, the ball's not flying around. He's not beating you that way. And he didn't shoot above 50%. He had 5 turnovers, so he wasn't flawless by any means. However, in these games, sometimes it can't just be about like the theoretical right play, which is Nickeil's open and he shot well, so it's good. Or Dante DiVincenzo's open and he shot well, so it's good. Sometimes I do think your star actually does have to get some of these touches. But the hard part is you turn into Donovan Mitchell if you're not careful.
But how do you get the touches? That's the point.
Right.
And Shea is beating his guy. Anthony Edwards is crashing into double teams. So maybe that's another thing Finch needs to figure out. You know?
Yeah.
And I don't think he's proving himself as a good coach in this series.
And OKC has a better roster. They do. They have better defensive players. They have better ability to do that. But he is also utilizing his guys in the right way. And clearly, I don't think you've necessarily got overwhelming proof that Finch has figured out how to get the balance that he's looking for. Because I would tell you, I promise you get Chris Finch honestly, this is not the balance he wants. And you know what? We can even take it a step further, which is the second best player on the Thunder is Jalen Williams, J-Dub. He was 13 of 24. He got 24 shots. That's a ton.
A ton.
That's exactly what they want, though. They want him taking shots. That's good for the Thunder. He's their second best player. Timberwolves' second best player so far in the postseason has been Julius Randle. He had 7 shots. He shot 1 of 7.
Yep.
So you've got to figure out how to get him more better shots.
Who's Nas' counterpart for the Thunder? Probably Caruso.
Yeah, probably Caruso.
In 33 minutes, which is a ton, which, by the way, is 4 more minutes than Na. How many shots did Caruso take?
Not many.
7.
Yeah.
7.
Yep.
Because you know who you don't want taking 15 shots? Your backup point guard.
Right.
That's not his role.
Even if he's shooting fine.
It doesn't matter.
Right.
That's not his role on the team.
Caruso, 4 of 7, 2 of 5. You're like, great. That's a really good night from Caruso.
It's Rick Majerus yelling at Britton or whoever.
Yeah.
Do I want you shooting it or do I want the 6'10 All-American shooting it?
Right.
The 6'10 All-American.
Right.
But Rick didn't give Keith Van Horn the ball and say, dribble into a double team until you get a shot. It's you get Keith Van Horn a shot.
Right.
It's like being on a bicycling team with Lance Armstrong. He's the one who gets to win.
Yeah.
You get to do all the work.
Right.
He's the one who
At
gets
the
to
end,
win.
he's
That's
going across
his
the
role.
line. Yeah.
That's why nobody in the NBA likes their role, unless you are Shea.
Yeah.
It's because you're there to support someone else. So I'm sure Na loved taking 15 shots.
Right. Oh, but you know who
They're
else
not
loved
your
it?
shots.
You know who else loved
Yes.
it? The Thunder.
Exactly.
The Thunder were like, great. Every time.
Go get 'em, Na.
Fine. Beat us.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Nikhil Alexander Walker. Beat us.
Knock
if
yourself
you
out.
beat us, we'll tip our cap to you. But Ant's not going to beat us to the point of doubling him, getting him off the ball, and seeing if he can get it back. And they're saying, we don't think you can get it back. And they've done a good job of making sure he doesn't.
Daignault looked at the 13 shots and said, wow, it worked. This is it.
Yeah.
This is why we play the way that we're playing.
Yeah. Because, by the way, Shea gets off the ball, too. You know what I
He
mean?
does.
And then the ball comes back.
Yep.
So, no, it's been a fun series. It's a good series. I know it's probably going to end in 5. And then the big question for the Timberwolves is, what do they do next? Julius Randle, I don't think he's going to opt out of his contract, but he's had a hell of a series. Maybe he does. Maybe he says, I want to hit free agency. I don't care where I play. I don't care if I win, but I want to get a huge contract, and I don't know if I'm going to get it next year in Minnesota, so I'll opt out, try and get more money now.
All right, stay tuned. We've got What You Got Wednesday coming up next. My favorite / least favorite part of the week.
Okay.
Straight ahead. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Take the Zone with you wherever you go. Download the KSL Sports app to get live streaming of your favorite shows.
Downloading.
Download the latest podcasts and get all the latest breaking news on the teams you can't live without. Everything you need delivered right to your phone.
Let's go get them where we can get them.
Just search KSL Sports on your app store of choice. Download it now. The KSL Sports app, presented by University of Utah Health. Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson
1, 2, 3, move it.
on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
What you got Wednesday? What's the deal? Jake's got rules, Ben's out to steal. Bozo takes their spinning around. Flush it down.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Want to remind you, join Hanson, Scotty G coming up today at RGS Exteriors from noon to 3, 4235 Farm Road in West Jordan. It is time for What You Got Wednesday, where Ben and I, if you're new to the show, go head-to-head, 2 5-selection drafts, 1 sports-related, 1 not, and then we put it out to you folks for the vote. Who won last week, Christian?
Last week, conference finalist starting 5. Ben won a close one, 51-49.
Lame. Lame.
And then best Cheers characters. Jake, you won that one 56 to 47.
You got Cliff. I don't remember.
In honor of
You
George
got Cliff.
Wendt,
Yeah.
the late great. Okay. What is our sports
This is really tough.
What is our sports related topic today? I get the first pick.
So as I understand, we're doing best Utah Jazz draft picks, right?
Yep. Now here's the
There are
parameters.
several caveats.
It can't be a draft day trade. It has to be a pick the Jazz went into draft day with.
So
Thus eliminating Donovan and Rudy.
yes.
And Darren Williams.
And Darren Williams. Those were guys the Jazz made trades for on draft day. Some of them on draft night, but some of them draft day.
Basically during
Yes.
for all intents and purposes, the draft. So those players would not count. We're talking about Jazz picks on draft day. Now, and not to give away, I mean, I'm sure one of us will pick this guy, but Gordon Hayward, even though it was the Knicks pick, the Jazz went into the draft with the pick. Therefore, he would count.
He counts.
He is
The
eligible.
Jazz owned that pick for several years,
Yep.
building up to that, ending up at number 9.
Right. Okay. We understand. Everybody on the same page?
Yes.
Is there an automatic number one pick? Is there a no-brainer?
And again, this is about their run with the Jazz.
With the Jazz. So Dominique Wilkins would
Who
not
he never
be...
played, but they're like Del Curry would be a bad draft pick.
Right, because he only played 1 year.
and then was a good player everywhere else.
Yes. Well, one other place.
Yeah.
But yeah. My Hornets. All right. We got it, Christian? We're
I
understanding?
think we're good. Yeah.
This is hard.
Is there a hands
There
down?
is, of course, yeah.
I'm going to go with Karl Malone.
Yeah.
Although I would listen. I would entertain the Stockton thing.
Sure. And of course, I'm going to take John. Not to...
Now, from there, it does get a little more complicated. And I'm going to go with...
It's amazing to go back and look at a pick the Jazz didn't trade for that night or trade away. The Jazz have not actually historically been
That's why this is so tricky.
incredible at drafting.
That's why this is so tricky. Okay, I'm going to go with Mark Eaton.
I think that's the right choice.
Mark made an all-star game. At one point, is he still the all-time leader in blocks?
No.
No, he can't be.
No.
But he's on the list.
He's got the highest career blocks per game average, and I think has the highest single season average of like 5.6 blocks per game one time.
So, Mark Eaton.
Yeah, Mark's a good choice. I think, two-time Defensive Player of the Year, one-time All-Star,
Mark Eaton, by the way, fifth.
fifth.
Fourth, if you just count NBA stats.
Shout out Big Mark. All right, I will go with. All right, I'll go with Hayward. I have a problem. It's actually probably not going to get me very many votes, but Hayward was a very good draft pick, even though the Jazz passed on Paul George. Right?
They did. Okay, I am going to go with Brian Russell,
Okay.
who they got in the second round.
Yeah.
What a
Santa Clara. Where did he go?
let me see.
UCSB, I think.
No, it's not UCSB, or else David James would never have shut up
Must be
about
Santa
it.
Clara.
God, Ben, now he's lost in my...
I thought David was UCSD.
David James, Santa Barbara.
Santa Barbara.
Long
Jeez.
Beach
Long
State.
Beach.
Long
State,
Beach.
yeah.
Okay.
He's from San Bernardino.
B. Russ.
I'm in San Bernardino right now.
All right. I will take. I know you weren't going to take him, so I easily put this off. Give me AK-47. Andre was an incredible draft pick.
He was a good draft
real
pick.
foresight.
Listen, I don't hate Andre Karolinko. He's just not as good as everybody remembers. That's all. He was a fan favorite, and he was kind of more of a detriment than he was a help most times. And he was the old maid in the league.
He did become the old maid, certainly for the Utah Jazz. Yeah, Andre Karolinko though.
But everybody thinks he was just magic, and that was never
he
true.
was 17 when they drafted him. Came over when he was a little bit older.
Oh, some of these, this is just a futile exercise. Some of these drafts were just so bad.
Yeah. Jazz, again, the Jazz really don't have, as much as you like to think, like, well, the Jazz have historically done pretty well. It's like, kind of. I don't know if they've done better than most teams.
I'm going to take my guy, throw Big T. Bailey.
Yeah.
Great draft pick. 7th pick out of NC State.
Yeah. Really skyrocketed up draft boards because of his run to win the championship and beat Houston. And was a good player. Yeah. All right. I'm going to take the highest draft pick in Jazz history. I'm going to take Darryl Griffith.
Yeah. Honestly, I probably should have taken him earlier. That's a good value pick on your part.
he was a very flawed player. Zero defense. At one point led the league in career three-pointers made, which I didn't realize about him as he's so known as a high flyer and a great dunker. But was the NBA's all-time league leader in threes made.
All right, I'm going to take another second-round pick, Ben.
Okay.
Paul Millsap.
Okay. He was on my list. We have gone, I put 9 names on my list. The only one I didn't have was Brian Russell. And so we're going to go chalk, yeah. You went Millsap.
Brian was incredible for a second-round pick.
Huge hit. No doubt about it. Yeah, that was a great selection.
He was a 3-and-D guy before that was even a thing. He was ahead of his time.
Again, this is where it gets really thin, and that's why I'm taking this player.
Eric Maynor.
I liked Eric. I liked VCU.
Walt Palmer.
Jazz fans would be shocked to go back and look.
Eric Lechner.
No. And actually, this guy may have been better. I'm going to go with C.J. Miles.
Another
who was in the
second
Darren
rounder.
Williams draft. That ended up being a really good draft.
I would not have picked CJ. You know what? The Jazz have done way better in the second round over the years than they have in the first.
They have. And you know what? They've had a bunch of lousy first-round picks. That was the curse of having John and Carl.
Yep.
You had a bunch of picks in the 20s. You weren't supposed to get good players then.
Man, I would have taken a lot of players before CJ, though. That was a miss. Tag?
Ostertag, probably.
Shandon Anderson?
C.J. Miles is probably a better player than Shannon Anderson.
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
And played for the Jazz for like 8 years.
Blue Edwards?
Blue Edwards was the one I would think that was the one because he made an all-rookie team.
You got Dr. Duncanstein late. That was a mistake on my part. You shouldn't have been able to get that value.
You probably should have gone Griffith at 3, Thurl at 4, because I was going to take AK-47 3. But it's thin. It's
thin.
really difficult
That's kind
to
of why
find.
I wanted to do it, because you think it wouldn't be that thin. It's thin.
Like, Jaron Collins makes this list if we keep going.
He at least played for the team forever.
Yeah, he did.
I thought about Mo Williams because he had one good year, his rookie year.
Yep.
And then came back and had a return tour.
Yeah.
But yeah, and he's another second rounder too. Like first round picks in Jazz history, there's a lot of Costa Kufases. I thought about taking Ronald Brewer.
Bobby Hansen.
All right, recap.
Jake, you had the number 1 overall pick. You went Karl Malone, Mark Eaton, Brian Russell, Thurl Bailey, and Paul Millsap. Ben, you went John Stockton, Gordon Hayward, Andrei Kirilenko, Darrell Griffith, and C.J. Miles.
It's not terrible. But again, when you take the draft night trades, which is good for the Jazz, they made good draft night trades off the board.
Did you know Quincy Lewis was the 19th pick? Oh, Sasha Pavlovich. I remember that year. That was the first NBA draft I guess I could call it covered, but the first NBA draft of my sports career. Sasha Pavlovich and Mo Williams. Was that the LeBron draft, 03?
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, 04, I remember that draft night too. That was a real stinker. Chris Humphries, and the Jazz had 3 first-round picks in 04, and they picked Chris Humphries, Kirk Snyder, and Pavel Podkolzin, who they traded to Dallas.
Yep.
Baby Shaq. No. Kirk Snyder, I believe, is in jail. And Chris Humphries, the most notable thing about him is he married Kim Kardashian for like 18 days or something.
And I've told you the most notable thing about Pavel Podkolzin is his agent was Justin Zanuck.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Zanuck got his guy taken in the first round.
He did.
Yeah. That's a good agent right there. It's like my guy Max Urgul.
Yeah,
I'd hire him immediately.
We're not going to let you see him play at all. He's huge.
Ennis got a max extension. Think about that. From Oklahoma City. Ennis, who neither one of us even considered for a second drafting in this thing, got a max rookie extension.
Correct.
Hire that guy's agent immediately.
Absolutely.
All right. What's our not sports?
Not sports today. Mission Impossible is in the theaters, so we're going to go best spy movies. Ben, you have the number 1 pick.
I have the top pick. Oh, man.
And we're not just going franchises. We're doing by individual movie.
Actual individual movie. Oh, man. I didn't want the number 1 overall pick. Is there an obvious choice?
No, there's not.
I'm going to go with Mission Impossible Fallout.
I have no idea what that
Exactly.
means.
That's why this is hard.
It's way hard. All right.
This is by the time he's gotten into like Simon Pegg is there. Now, I think Simon Pegg had been there for a while. But I do actually think this is the best one of all of them. It came out in 2018. The last one was really long. Anyways, it's going to be tough.
All right. I'm going to go.
By the way, that's Mission Impossible 6. It's the 6th one.
All right, Ben. I'm going to go. I feel like I've got to go Bond here. But do I go with. Because the best Bond is Sean Connery, but that's probably not the Bond movie that will get the most votes.
I can tell you honestly, I've never seen the old Bonds.
Oh, they're great.
I don't think I've seen anything
that's-
pre-Pierce Brosnan.
That's not true. They're not all great. But I'm going to take Dr. No.
Is Dr. No the bad guy in it?
Yeah. And James Bond, that's a Connery James Bond. Dr. No. Probably, like I said, not going to get me any votes, but whatever.
Yeah, this is a very tough one. I'm going to go just because it spawned the video game there. I'll go with GoldenEye.
Just a dreadful movie. But yeah, everybody remembers the video game. Pierce Brosnan was a particularly bad Bond, in my opinion.
I'm kind of with you. What did you took Dr. No?
Yeah. Okay, I'm doing this for pure votes. I don't even like this movie, but Austin Powers.
I think Austin Powers is a good pick. I definitely would have taken it.
Which one?
The first one, I guess. I don't care.
He's really selling this. Whatever. I couldn't care less. Good job. All right, you know what? I'm going to take a movie I really do like, and it's silly, but it's a spy movie. Give me True Lies. True Lies is great.
Okay. All right. I'm going to go with a movie that I actually like that probably no one else does, but whatever. I'm going to go with Bob Redford and Brad Pitt together at last, Spy Game.
I've not seen it.
You've not seen it? It's good.
Must be. People are kicking down the door to send suggestions in for this one. Man. I'll go with Born Identity. I actually don't think it's the best of the series, but it represents the series for me.
You know, I haven't seen one Bourne movie.
Why did we do this draft? We've not seen any of these movies.
All right, I'm going to go with this next movie, which I do think is a good movie, and I like for a really funny reason, but Argo.
Argo's good.
Even though Ben Affleck's in it, it is very good. Alan Arkin is always good, but I watched this movie with my wife who knows Farsi. And you know how there's a bunch of like background talking in lots of scenes, but
Sure.
you know, whatever. Like
Sure.
when in this particular scene, when they're trying to escape in the airport and there's people around them talking, my wife translated all of the background like conversation for me, which I don't know, added a level of interest for some reason. But Argo.
I've watched 2 spy movies recently. One of them's really good, and one of them's the movie I'm going to draft. But it is funny, and I'm going to do it because my fiance loves it, and people like this movie. And R.I.P. Val Kilmer. I'm going to take The Saint, which is not a particularly good movie.
No, it's not. All right, for my final one, I'm going to take one of my. This honestly is a top 10 movie for me,
Okay.
but I don't think anybody, very many people have seen it. But Tinker Tailor Soldier
Okay.
Spy.
It's kind of a bore, but it is good.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
What's his name? That actor that everybody loves who was Bane.
Gary Oldman. Or no, but Gary Oldman is in it. He's the star of it.
But what's that guy? Tom Hardy. It's the first thing I ever saw Tom Hardy in.
Okay, I didn't know he was in it. You
We
should
have breaking
watch...
news?
Oh, okay. Good. I thought we had breaking news. Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. If you like it, I probably should have taken this, but it's new. You should see Black Bag.
Okay.
If you like Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy,
I would like Black
Bag. It's new. It's good. And actually has Pierce Brosnan in it, which I think is a nod to it being a spy movie.
Is unfortunate, yeah.
But he plays a minor role in
Kate
it.
Blanchett, huh?
It's really good.
All right, I'll look
No
into it.
Casino Royale?
I did like Casino Royale. That was my debate. Casino Royale or Dr. No. Do I go with the traditional Bond that...
And I do like
most
James Craig.
Yeah. His name's Daniel Craig. but
James
yeah.
Craig. Daniel Craig. Excuse me.
I thought Daniel Craig was a good Bond.
I liked all of his movies, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah.
Agreed.
He did it differently than the others, which is something I actually appreciated. Pierce leaned into the gentleman thing too much.
Agreed. A little too suave. I kind of like the tough
the
guy.
world is blowing up around him, and he's just casually walking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
All right. Did we do a review? Review, Christian?
Ben, you had the number 1 pick. You went Mission Impossible Fallout, GoldenEye, True Lies, The Bourne Identity, and The Saint. Jake, you went Dr. No, Austin Powers, Spy Game, Argo, and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
All right.
We're going to get a lot of Spies Like Us recommendations.
I almost picked what I couldn't remember the name, is why I didn't remember. Leslie Nielsen did a spy movie. Spy Hard.
Spy Hard. Yeah.
I should have picked that one.
I watched The Conversation recently, which is kind of about the flaws of spying. Very good.
All right, stay tuned. We'll wrap up the show coming up next. Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
This is DJ and PK.
Kyle Boone, NBA draft and college basketball writer for CBS Sports. Yay, your denim. You've got him going 10th. I'm high on the kid. How about you?
He's a guy who I've consistently ranked on my own big board as a top 10 prospect. He's, to me, clearly the best prospect in terms of just pure passing ability. If you have someone who is the best at any particular skill, I am always willing to take a chance on that. And you're talking about someone who's 6'9", who can see over a defense and play, make, and pass the way that he does. I think it's an exceptional tool that is in your tool case to build around for the future. We'll look back in a few years, and I really believe Demon will end up being one of the steals from this draft. I'm buying stock in Yegor Demon, and I think a lot of NBA teams are pretty thrilled about the prospect of potentially getting him at a discount.
Catch DJ and PK mornings from 6 to 10 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Whether it's the Jazz, Utes, Cougars, or Aggies, these guys have got you covered.
Time to eat, fellas.
You're locked on to Jake Scott and Ben Anderson
1, 2, 3, move it.
on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Two amigos on the airways, talking sports. They got him made Jake's and also loves his tie-dye. Ben's got style with his scarf. Oh my.
Jake and Ben, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Jake Scott, Ben Anderson. You know, sports has really got to be careful with that. Ben and I were just talking about streaming and what streaming has done to the movie industry. You know, people have been predicting that sports would go to streaming for 15 years now.
Yeah.
10 at least. You know, going back to when the Larry Scott negotiated the first Pac-12 TV deal and kept all the streaming rights as opposed to selling them to ESPN, which seemed like a wise thing at the time, but ended up being a complete blunder because they never capitalized on it ever. They never made a cent
Right.
off of those rights because they were convinced that streaming was going to bully out over-the-air television
They were gonna
tomorrow.
Yeah.
And almost the exact opposite happened, whereas sports makes even more off of television.
Yes.
Because television is, you'd think, okay, TV is dying, so they're going to have less money to pay sports, and thus these streaming rights are going to be extraordinarily valuable. Well, the truth is that sports is propping up TV, so while Days of Our Lives is getting less money, sports is actually getting more money.
Right.
Because these companies are desperate to keep the cash cow, because they don't make money on streaming. They make money on network rights. They make money on selling to the mouse.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes, absolutely right. We were talking about why it's hard to rent a movie now on Amazon or however you rent, Apple, whatever you do. Why it's hard to pay the $4.99 or $9.99 to rent a movie when that used to be built into your budget every week, because you would go to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or Top Hat or whatever and rent a movie.
Oh, I remember Top Hat. That was a rad store.
You would go rent it. And I guess the difference is, A, we do like just like leaving the house. It feels like a little bit of an event. And now, A, you're paying so many different streaming services, it's furious that they don't have a movie. It's like I pay 4 different streaming services. What do you mean I don't have 12 Angry Men or whatever you were talking about? I have to rent it now on top of that. So A, I'm being cut 4 different ways versus I went to Blockbuster and that's what they had and that was my option. But second, I think you're right. It's always the smart people who figure out what the actual reaction is going to be. We think it's going to be easier. It made it more difficult. And now we prioritize over-the-air television versus the streaming everything. And they actually don't make as much money on streaming as we thought they were going to. And the
Not
Pac-12
yet.
bet on it, and it killed them.
It did. It did kill them. They never did anything with it. Think of that. It was the wise strategy. Why don't you sell the Pac-12 network and the streaming rights to the Mouse? Which, if they did that, they'd still be in existence today.
Right. Yeah, they would.
Because ESPN doesn't let their... Why isn't the ACC failing right now? It should be. Like Florida State should be gone. Clemson should be gone. Why is the ACC still standing? Because they're an ESPN property.
Yep.
Yeah, the Mouse won't let them out. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, exactly right.
The grant of rights, it's an agreement with the Mouse.
Yeah.
If the Mouse wanted to let Clemson and Florida State go, they could go. So it's this weird web. I actually think the Big 12 is in a great position because they're actually in bed with Fox and the Mouse.
Right.
And kind of are getting guarded from both ends because they're valuable enough that they're making those properties plenty of dough, right? So it's an interesting dance. I know the NFL is really leaning into streaming, and maybe Amazon makes enough money from its other stuff that they don't care about throwing away money on a sports production. I don't know.
Well, again, it's for the most part, with a few exceptions. I mean, the product that the NFL is throwing to the streaming providers is terrible, right? Their Thursday night game is not.
It's not their
best game.
No, their best game goes to NBC.
Right. It's not what they're worried about. Now, Christmas, if you wanted to say their Christmas game's going to Netflix, that's a big sacrifice. They started making Christmas games specifically for streaming. That might represent a little bit of them jumping the shark, right? For the first time, they are putting some of their best products only on streaming for people to watch. We'll see where that ends up going. And you know what the truth is? If Netflix is making a ton of money on it, NBC's just going to come for it.
And honestly, I think the NFL might be the only sport that can do it. I mean, think of how outrageous it is to put an NFL playoff game on streaming only. What did they do?
Peacock.
Peacock?
Yep.
No other sport can get away with that.
Right.
The NBA couldn't get away with that.
Right.
Major League Baseball couldn't get away with that. I think Major League Soccer has a real problem on its hands.
Enormous. Yeah.
Just being streamed on Apple, and not even basic Apple, right? You have to get an extra Apple package to get Major League Soccer. Nobody's going to watch it.
Right. You're not getting any accidental fans.
Nobody's watching it.
Yeah.
You know, you're blowing it with Lionel Messi because he's a tune-in. And if you can't tune in, people aren't going to do it. You think like, oh, we're going to get a ton of subscriptions based on Lionel Messi, which is kind of true. But the kind of part is the dangerous part. This should be what Caitlin Clark is doing for the WNBA. Lionel Messi should be doing something similar for Major League Soccer.
Right.
And I'm sure a soccer fan will tell you it's happening. It's not.
Right.
It's not.
Right.
I don't flip through and accidentally like, oh man, look at that pink uniform. Oh, it must be Messi.
Right.
I'm going to watch. Nope. I don't even know if I've seen Messi play a single game in the United States because I don't have the extra Apple thing. So sports, this whole streaming thing is going to be a real delicate dance. And you know what? Over-the-air TV is not going to give up on it because it's the only thing making them any money. So like NBC, for example, is going to keep bidding on that Sunday night package because it's the only thing worth watching on their network anymore.
It's convenient, makes a ton of money.
No offense to NBC. You can pick anybody. I'm not trying to pick on our favorite NBC. But it's true. I mean, remember when Thursday night NBC used to be a thing with Seinfeld and Friends and then what other crappy shows they plugged in the middle?
Right.
Which was like a zillion of them.
Yeah.
Like that's not a thing anymore. Sports is it. But NBC's not just going to give up. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's still more lucrative than streaming because they can't make any money off streaming. Because people don't want ads for something that they're paying to specifically not have ads. Netflix kind of ruined it by not having ads at the beginning.
Right. Then there was never that. Now nobody expects there to be
Now
ads.
nobody expects ads. And hey, I do it when an ad all of a sudden pops up when I'm on Amazon or something like that. I'm like, this is outrageous.
Paying for this, but accurately, you're paying for it. Yeah, you're just being cut. Too many bites. Too many little bites here and there.
And you know what? These streaming services can plug ads into sports, which is another thing that they like. So maybe they can make it lucrative. I don't know. But honestly, streaming has ruined a lot. Did we get any reactions from the draft? Oh, let's see. Colton says Casino Royale and Skyfall should be on the list. Best Daniel Craig Bond movies. I did not care for Skyfall. I really liked Casino Royale, though.
I liked them both. I'm with you. I liked all the Daniel Craig, James Bond.
The guy who took over for where was the real bozo? It was either the second or the third guy who played it. It was just awful. And
Bond?
He only did one movie.
Oh, did he only do one?
I think so. Let me look it up.
Because what have there been 4, 5 now? Must be 5.
Let's see. It's more than that. Daniel Craig, Pierce Brosnan, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, Timothy Dalton, George Lazenby, David Niven, and
many?
Barry
Wow.
Nelson.
Okay. No. I should go back. I should go watch some of the old ones.
I think it was Lazenby that was the real bozo. Or maybe it was Moore. I have no idea.
No, people like Roger Moore.
Do people like Roger
People like
Moore?
Roger Moore. People like Sean Connery of the old ones.
No Lazenby fans out there, huh?
Apparently not.
Hanson Scott, you're next. Jake and Ben,
Thanks,
97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.